to our podcast with us here at Mary Seacole. So this segment is all about stop and search. As you can see, we have some guests with us. So first we're going to introduce ourselves and then we're going to get into it. So as you know, I'm Jade.
I'm Jess.
I'm Montell.
I'm Ira.
I'm Vic.
I'm Jamie.
I'm Maya.
So let's get into it. So Montell, you are from the Stop and Search Scrutiny Panel.
I chair the Bedfordshire panel for 5.5 years. I now chair a Bedfordshire, Hertfordshire and Cambridgeshire panel. I'm also a trainer.
Oh wow, and then Sergeant Sanghera.
Come on, get it right.
I did, Sergeant Sanghera.
So Vic, it says Carringer.
Okay.
That's my real name. Everyone calls me Vic.
Okay.
Long story. We're going to that another time.
Trust me, I think I kind of understand, but yeah. Okay.
So Vic Sanghera, I'm a sergeant in Bedfordshire Police.
Mm-hmm.
I currently work on our community cohesion unit, and obviously part of our role is to kind of link in with communities and get to know communities, and by doing that, build up our trust and confidence that out there in the communities. But another part of my role is obviously to work with the likes of Montell, with the stop and search scrutiny panels, the use of force scrutiny panels, and our IAGs, which is an independent advisory groups. So that's another part of my role, to kind of work with them and try and facilitate everything that's needed.
Okay. Well, with me, I've never been, well, I actually have been stopped, not searched, because it's stopped. People forget it's not stop. It's not you're stopped and sometimes you're just stopped. You're not always searched. And I have been stopped, but it was more when I was in school and there was an incident that happened and they were obviously stopping people to ask what occurred, because sometimes it could be a case of like after school there was a fight, something happened, they wanted to know like, did you see anything, did you hear anything? So we were stopped, but not searched. But I have also seen people that were stopped and searched in my past, and they were targeted maybe because of the way they were dressed or maybe because of the way that they looked. Has anybody had that experience of being stopped and searched?
It was stopped but not searched.
Okay.
Just felt like I was just minding my own business like one day like after college and then the police wanted to stop me because something occurred at the college where something random in my course. They just wanted to know if I knew anything, and I said no, I didn't know anything. But it was the moment of where you mind your own business and you get stopped. I was like, what have I done? I've done nothing. I'm innocent.
No, I've been stopped and searched. I think I was like 14, I think.
Ooh, man.
I was out, bear in mind it was dark, so I guess that it's giving it some sort of justification, but I was walking on my own, it was dark. Police car just ominously just rolls by me first. I'm like, oh, okay, nothing too unfamiliar there. And then just stops in at a bus stop and I'm like, there for me. Sort of the basis of what it was that there'd been a couple burglaries or something up by my college.
Okay.
And they were looking, apparently someone matched my description leaving the area. Same sort of dress sense, same sort of build apparently. Obviously got stopped, searched, I had a bunch of lighters on me, nothing like unusual. And then they were just like, oh, okay, then nothing seems to be the problem. You haven't got anything on you, so you can go. And they were quite so they said, yeah, you're free to go, but they were quite surprised when I asked them for a receipt of the stop and search. They didn't have the facilities in their car to give me anything, so they wrote it down on the scrap bit of paper that they had. The fact that they had stopped and searched me, they didn't have the proper equipment to give me the right receipt for the stop and search.
When did that happen? How long ago?
Oh, yeah, so I'm 22 now, so
8 years ago.
Yeah.
In Bedfordshire?
Yeah, Luton, right by sort of the Ignal area.
Okay.
I just like the fact that you asked for a receipt.
100%.
Do you guys on a whole, like, do you feel that there's enough information out there to show you what your rights are? Because when I was younger, like in my teenage years, I used to listen to Choice FM. Shout out Choice FM, they didn't exist anymore. But they used to always say, there used to be like a radio ad, and it was like stop and search, blah blah blah, and then it used to give you what your rights are, and that you must ask for a receipt if you've been stopped and searched, because they felt like a lot of people, maybe not just of colour, but a lot of people of our youth culture at the time as well, Macaroni or whatever, were being stopped and searched like unlawfully, and there wasn't really no ground. So do you think there's enough?
I didn't even know you could do that. I didn't even know you could ask for like any type of receipt.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I wasn't even even of if I got stopped and searched, I would have just let them do it and then walked
So
off.
officers should make you aware when they're searching. If you want a receipt, you don't have to have one, but if you want one, it's available there.
I just wanted to show my mum. I was like, mum, look at this.
When you got searched, it would have been a paper copy, so they should have really been able to give you one there and then.
Didn't have anything on them, literally just scribbled down a bit of paper.
They used to be these pads. I've still got them, but I wish I had one on me. I could have shown it to you, but it used to be like a little pad like that. And basically, it was you'd be able to write on it, and then there's 2 copies. You'd have one, and we would take one.
Transfer.
Can I just add to that, just to support what's just been said there? The onus is on the officer, not on the member of the public, to tell you that you are entitled to have a receipt. For that stop and search to be lawful, they must offer it to you. Whether we take it or not is a different thing, number one. Number two, they must carry, up until 2020, now it's all computerised, but up until 2020, every officer, including in cars, had a pad of stop and search receipts that they must have gave up. They shouldn't write it on a bit of paper. They should have a pad and write it because it needs to be recorded so it can be checked for the reason that you've identified people.
Because your parent or guardian, because you are 14,
literally.
so your parent or guardian might want to call and be like,
why
what's good? And they're not going to have no record of it on their system. Other than, obviously, they've probably written down their badge number or whatever, so they can still say, that happened, whatever. But what if they didn't report it? Me growing up, they never used to even tell you that. They would just try and stop and search boys. I remember being young, and certain time you might be out to eat with, like, your family. Like, me and my cousin might be out at McDonald's after school, whatever, on the school run. And we're seeing like young boys getting stopped and searched, and they're in their school uniform, and they're like being had up by police, up against the wall, this, that, and the third. So we're like filming, or we're standing by to make sure, because sometimes I feel like community needs to also look after community.
100%. But in some situations, I get the stop and search procedure in the sense that, especially with school kids, you've been in school, or we've all been in school at times. We've heard about people bringing knives into school. We've heard about people bringing anything into school just because playground beef, sort of like fights, whatever. And it happens. Anything like that, it does involve police action. And if it means a bunch of kids getting searched so one kid doesn't die, I'm for it. Because
for a reason.
If yes, it might look sort of unjust when you see 2 grown police officers stopping a bunch of 13-year-old boys in uniform, But if one of them boys in uniform does have a knife and was planning to use it, then police officers just saved a life.
I think that is just the way that it's done.
Yes, the way that they carry themselves and the way... it's the power complex, isn't it? Obviously, they do have a higher power than most of the regular civilians in the sense that they have the power to arrest you, they have the power to sort of detain you. But there also needs to be a mutual respect between civilian and police officer in the sense that not every person is guilty. Not every person you are looking at, a suspect, is the person you are looking for.
So do you guys think that every time a police officer does a stop and search, I'm just asking quickly out your opinion basically, every time a police officer does a stop and search, do you think that's the attitude that we give attitude to you?
It doesn't come across, in stop and search situations, from my personal experience, it doesn't come across very friendly. That's all I can. It doesn't come across.
Even if there's not an attitude, it's stern.
I've seen certain videos,
and I get that it's a role of power, but
and it's like the guy's asking, like they're trying to explain the ground, but he wants like more into detail, and they're just being arrogant about it. And I'm just watching. I'm like, this guy's trying to get more of a justification of what his rights are, why they're going into it more. But they're not giving it to them. They want to be arrogant, and they're just saying we're stopping and searching you.
Can I just explain how we encourage our Bedfordshire officers to act? First of all, we welcome the fact that we want our police officers to talk and interact with members of our community, because in that way, their job is to keep you safe. That's number one. It's respect. Number two, we don't want people to be afraid of our police officers. A lot of our police officers are your age, okay? I've interviewed loads of them, 22, 23, 24. Right throughout the 20s, a lot of them are young, and we encourage them to talk. That's number two. Number three, the best chance of them getting knives or drugs off the streets is not really by stopping and searching and going around fishing. It's being given intelligence. It's by you saying, that person there is a threat to me or my friends or my family, and I need your help to take that off them because they've got the legal power to do that. Now, so we want them to take dangerous weapons or stolen items off people, or to recover anything that you've had stolen. So we look at one thing, which again we talk about a lot, and that's called the quality of the encounter. We want our officers to be fair, polite, and professional. And we check for that, we measure for that. We don't want our officers to give attitude. We don't want our officers to unfairly target people for any reason, because of ethnicity, because they're 13, whatever the reason is. They must have something called reasonable grounds that they will find an illegal item on that person.
Okay, what's the criteria for like reasonable grounds though? Like, what's the...
Great point, right. So in terms of what they have to do is establish reasonable grounds, okay? And then they have to tell you that and go wisely. So in terms of establishing reasonable grounds, it's usually like a 4-point test. Either you've told a police officer that person's got your stolen mobile phone. So that's called intelligence from a member of the public. That's number one. Number two, it could be they've been told on the radio. They got radios and they said, go out, look out for this person who's got a knife or whatever it is. That's number two. Number three, they could be told in a briefing in the station on a Monday morning, there's a burglar operating in this area, they wear X, Y, Z. Or they could be out themselves and they could form that reasonable grounds because of the person's behaviour. And then once they've established reasonable grounds, they have to communicate reasonable grounds to the member of the public. So in terms of go wisely, they then have to say, the grounds for me stopping and searching you are. Then they have to say the object that I'm looking to find is. And then they have to say if they're in plain clothes or not in full uniform, here's my warrant card. Because you know I'm a real police officer. If they're in full uniform like Vic, then they don't need to show a warrant card. But what they then need to do is say, I am PC 1234 from Luton Police Station. Okay. The law I'm going to use is, for example, Section 23 of the Misuse of Drugs Act, or Section 1 of PACE, which if it's for a knife or stolen item, is Section 1 of PACE. Okay, and then they say you are entitled to a receipt. They have to go through all that. Failing to quote all of that, warrants the stop and search unlawful.
Okay, and how do you find out like if someone's done it, like a stop and search unlawfully?
So what we do on the panel is every month I meet with Vic, and he's got a computer system of every time an officer goes out there, does all their jobs, they download it onto the police system, and then we randomly pick. So we might pick by area. We might say how many officers have done stop and searches in Bedfordshire looking for knives or blade articles or terrorists or whatever. And Vic pulls them all up on the computer, and then we pull them down, and then we watch the videos.
With the body cam footage, do you find it's always started at the right point?
No. Sometimes, right, what happens, and that's a great question, sometimes officers turn it on late. Now, Vic and his colleagues now, because Vic's job and his boss's job is to reinforce to all their colleagues, the panel is finding that not all of you is turning on before you approach the member of the public. So what happens is the video might come on, and we see the officer talking to the
person that they want to question.
Yes. And that's too late, because then we can't see what happened before.
Yeah.
So that's a good point.
Yeah, it's just also like, I remember having a meeting a little while ago with the chief constable, I don't know who.
Gary Forsyth?
Maybe a bit under him. Name doesn't sound too familiar. But no, again, we brought up the sort of policing and how the police officers are doing their jobs. And the body cam, he made a point about the body cam footage sometimes, or external videos. So say there's an incident happening with a police officer, someone's getting arrested. If there's no body cam footage and a random member of the public pulls up their phone and starts recording with the police officer forcefully detaining the person on the floor, it's going to look tilted onto the civilian side in the sense that this is unfair. There's no like lead up to this. This police officer is just on this person. So the police officer was saying that sometimes it's hard for us to actually get the full story because of the outside sort of cameras pointing in that's showing only one side of the story. But then again, if my counter argument to that was if the police officers were doing their job exactly how they were supposed to do and exactly how it was done, they shouldn't have to worry about what point the camera gets recorded on, because they know from that whole process they've been doing their job correctly.
And that's right. And I just add to that. So imagine you guys know how to do filming, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know that if you're doing filming and you want to capture everything, it's better to be a bit back, right? Okay. Then you can capture everything what's going on, can't you? The context, what's around. Normally, when we have a body worn camera and we're watching that, it's this close.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you can't see everything, can you? Right? Yeah. There's loads of times when we're going through videos and it's that close, we can only see that much. Okay, sometimes it gets knocked and we see it over there, and it's that way. So sometimes actually having that other angle,
external footage,
external footage can be more useful. The other thing to think about is before they were using a lot of body worn footage, they used to just write down and record on writing what the actual interaction is. Right now, I always said no officer is going to write down having fairly targeted 10 people. They're not going to write that down, right? Okay. So I don't go on what they write. I go on what we can watch on video.
What we can hear.
What I feel is with the police sometimes is like some police officers that I've seen, like even going like football now, and I've seen incidents been dealt with. They don't always put their body cams on straight away. They wait till they've got the person.
You shouldn't do that.
And then they've put it on because you can't see like what's going on. And there's been a few times where people are not liking because they've not had their body. It's better to have it on as you're going. You're going to the. I just feel like some officers think they know what they're doing. They've been in it so long, where they don't need it as much.
Yeah, but that's wrong.
And do you feel like power goes to the heads of? Sorry. Do you feel like the position and the power of the role sometimes goes to the officers' heads, in the sense that they can lawfully stop, within reason, they can lawfully stop anyone that they want to, anyone they feel is suspicious? Do you feel like that position sometimes goes to the officer's head in the sense of power?
That's to me. So I won't disagree with that, because it can do sometimes. You know, if you're a young officer who's 21, 22, and you're put in a position of, authority, it can get to, some people's heads. However, I would expect more experienced officers to kind of snap that out and make sure that they don't do that. It's all on individual character, is what I'd say. So, majority of officers I've come across are pretty relaxed, to be fair. They don't do that, and I've got to be honest. So I'm from Luton. I've lived here all my life. Grew up here, went to school here, all of that. And I'll be honest, I'm older than you guys, so we're going back probably to. We're going back to the 90s here, right? So we're going back to the 90s when I was at school, right? The 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. But I would get stopped all the time, by police for no reason. Literally for no reason. Most of my mates were Asian or black. Stopped all the time. Regular. If I came into town, I'm being stopped.
So we're aiming to cut that out, though.
Yeah. So this is going back to the 90s. But what I'd say, since I've got older and now that I've joined the job, so I'm in the job, I've been in the job like for a long time. I've been in the job for 5 years now. Right? Okay. So in the 5 years that I've been in the job, that isn't what happens anymore.
Because we've been scrutinised for more than 5 years.
Yeah, so we're more open with our scrutiny now. So, like Montell and the panels are able to come in and view everything. But I've never worked with an officer who's deliberately gone out and targeted anyone. I'd be honest.
That you're aware of.
Can I just add to it as well?
The only ones that I work with, I wouldn't go out and deliberately target anyone, but all of our officers have to justify why they stop and search people. So, they could be going out and deliberately targeting people. But the reason why Montell and the panels are in place is to identify that. And Montell's been given, our panels have, you kind of got all access, haven't you, really? You can go and have a look at whatever you want, basically. Yeah, there's no, I won't question it. He can ask me, I want to look at such and such an officer. He's been seen. We've seen him a number of times. Show me 5 footages.
I actually have a couple of questions from our residents here at Mary Seacole. So one of the questions is, what is then the procedure or the consequence should an officer not handle a stop and search in the correct way and follow the
Go wisely.
So there's the panel here rag rate it. So when I say rag rate it, you've got
red, amber, green.
Red, amber, green, yeah. So they would rag rate it. So if they haven't done something, generally if they're really good stop and searches, it's a green, isn't it? So yeah, if they haven't done something, they've missed a few elements of go wisely, or maybe the way they've acted has not been quite right. The panel might grade it amber. If it's an amber, then I will go and speak to that officer. I'll sit them down. I'll go through everything with them. I'll show them the footage. you know, and I'll go over the reasons the panel have graded it amber, and we treat it as learning. So it's
learning.
It's a learning. You know, you don't just stamp down on people straight away. It could just be, you know, a simple error. Or they might not quite understand it. However, if we start to see a pattern and we start to see officers regularly doing the same thing, then it becomes a management action. So then he'll be set, or she will be set, management action. So it will go down formally that, you know, you might need to be trained, you might need a bit more training in stop and search because you don't quite understand it. That will take place. If they still then continue to do it, then we're looking at a lot more disciplinary actions. It could end up with them losing the jobs. However, Montell can back this up, we don't see a lot of that repeat offenders, do we? So we might see someone that does it badly, but how often do we really see officers that do it badly?
Yeah, very rare.
But does that not dwindle down to the training in the sense of if they were trained properly or more efficiently to do the stop and search when the training time was up, that the problems wouldn't occur in the later life?
Can I just add to that? There's a number of things. So first of all, when I came into post in 2016, Bedfordshire was the same as all our neighbours, Thames Valley on that side, Northamptonshire, Hertfordshire. Now, Bedfordshire officers are far different to the rest of them. Okay? One, because of training, and we do lots of the training, and two, because of the scrutiny. Now, in terms of the scrutiny, one of the things that does, and Vic will know this, is it gives fear to a lot of officers. You go out there, you target people, you'll be dragged in front of your bosses, right, and you'll get kicked in the ass, basically. Right? So they're told, right, that they must treat our local people fairly, only use the powers to tackle crime. So in Bedfordshire, what you have is lots of, especially the newer officers, are much more willing to, in fact, a lot of them are afraid to use the powers, aren't they? Right? They don't want to use stop and search powers. And then you get some who, they'll use it, but they're going to go by the book because they know they're going to be scrutinised. Okay? You get some more experienced officers. You get some who are really, really good. Okay? That's first of all. And then you get some who think, well, do you know what? I'll do whatever I want to do. But what I do find is that the quality in Bedfordshire is far better than our neighbours and a lot better than London.
Okay.
But the training has improved. Sorry, fighting over you there.
The training
element
aspect
of it has massively improved. So since I've been involved as like the operational lead of Stop and Search for us, and Ian Taylor, who's the superintendent, who's the tactical lead for Bedfordshire Police, since we've been involved in it, we've put something that I noticed. So from my initial training 5 years ago, no one trained me in stop and search again. I never had a refresher. I never had anything. It was just there's your stop and training. And what I took from stop and search training in initial training is go wisely. You know, I don't remember anything else other than that. You know, right? Oh, you've got to do go wisely when you do stop and search. That was the main thing I took from it.
It's kind of good
because in initial training you're learning all the laws. There's so many different laws in this country, right? Yeah, there's so many different crimes in this country. You're learning all of that in a confined period. I think our training is like 16 weeks.
It is.
Yeah, police officers training is 16 weeks.
You don't find it could be longer? Is that 16 weeks until the period that they can then go out as PCSOs?
Can go out. No, not as PCSOs, as PCs, yeah.
So after 16 weeks, so what's that, 4 months of training?
Of classroom based. Learning legislation, learning things like go wise. You then go out for a further 16 weeks. I think they've knocked it down a little bit now, but in my time it was 16 weeks with a tutor constable.
So you shadow
showing you the ropes, basically, yeah. Then after that, you're on your own.
Yeah.
But you're still being assessed as a student for 2 years.
Yeah.
So you're not
fully on probation.
Yeah.
Can minors refuse to be stopped and searched?
Nobody can be stopped and searched. Nobody can refuse.
Not even like, can they not ask
There's not a minimum
for,
age.
like another, like their adult to be there or anything, or to be taken?
Can I ask a question? Add on to that. If someone, right, just say it's 12, refused to be stopped and searched,
the officers can use force.
so they can actually
Crazy.
use a minimal force or
appropriate force.
I'm thinking.
So
for example,
it doesn't need to be minimum, but what I would expect that to look like is it depends upon the level of resistance. The minimum level would probably be put the person in handcuffs, and usually an officer is holding the hand while they're in are with handcuffs. And if there's 2 officers, one is then doing the search.
Yeah.
Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but if that person is really resisting and it
Yeah.
suddenly
Oh,
turns
yeah,
into a
of
fight,
course.
it's going to end up with that person probably being arrested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think that in this day and age, based on mental health, based on some people might be say on the autistic spectrum or something like that, the way that they resist to you, and then you're not going to know that they have that
It might be
condition,
different
and then
to
you're
someone.
using force.
But then it's also the
Good point.
fair treatment of everyone in the
Yeah.
sense that you shouldn't discriminate against anyone despite mental health,
Yeah.
despite autism. Like, everyone should be
But
treated
their
fairly.
reaction is going to be based on
But
that.
yes, their
I understand
reaction
what you're
will
saying,
be
but
The way it should work is if we're stopping and searching you, right, we should have a real reason to
Justice
stop
cause.
and why.
Yeah.
We shouldn't just be stopping anyone. We
Yeah.
should be stopping you because you either carrying drugs or you've got a weapon. So, you know, as a member of the public, I would want my police force to be doing that. If someone's carrying a weapon or selling drugs or you know whatever it might be,
Yeah.
no, that's it. You know, then to
What
be doing
about,
that.
what about like women? Do they have a right to ask for like a female officer if they don't want a male to
Yeah,
search?
so ideally, a female should be searched by a female.
Yeah.
There will be,
And you should
yeah, the male should be
ideally-
searched by a male. However, therell always be times where it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So there's nothing to stop us from doing that. But
Yeah.
They have to justify it.
we have to, you know, it has to be something like a real emergency. We need to search this person ASAP.
Yeah.
There's no one around.
Yeah.
Sorry. But you would then expect, so if I was searching you, I would probably say to you, I'd like to think I'd say to you anyway, that I've got to search you. Here's the reasons why I've got to search you. Do you mind?
Yeah.
Right? You know, and I do really.
courtesy.
But if you have to search them, you will search.
Yeah, if I have to
Yeah.
search, if you're
Yeah.
being like, you know, a bit,
Got
you know,
concealment.
you really don't want to be searched. It's
Yeah,
just
then
gonna
you
raise
still
my
do it.
suspicions. Why don't you want to be
Yeah.
searched?
You see a
You know
bulge
what I mean?
under your coat. It's like, no, don't search me.
So I think we had one more question before.
Where can like young people find the information on their rights on stop and search?
There's a number.
Oh, no, you go. Montell,
Okay.
you go, then you can
So
find it.
if they Google "stop and search" to know your rights, okay, there's a number of different platforms which will come up. One is called Stopwatch, and it's got a leaflet and a code like this. Or if you go to any police website and you type in "stop and search," then it would also have "Go Wisely" on there as well.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
literally what I was going to say. The police website is for us, is where you. But a lot of people probably think, well, we're doing it on the police website, we'll go somewhere else just to
Yeah.
get that independent view. So Montell
You know,
just-
Google just
Do the same stop and search rules apply to vehicles?
Slightly different. There's 2 things. So first of all,
So I feel like that's when I sort of have the most sort of panic in my brain. It's like when I see a police car just pulling behind me, I'm like, oh, okay, now I've got to watch how I'm driving, watch my speed. Of course I'm doing anything already, but it's then I'm more conscious about what I'm doing, and sometimes it's like leads you to make mistakes.
Okay. So there's 2 different laws, right? So the first one is called the Road Traffic Act, and it's called Section 163, and that gives officers the power to stop any vehicle. Okay. Now they then should give the driver what that reason is. It could be the brake light is out or whatever it is. They've also got a power under PACE, which is the main law of Section 1 of PACE. So if, for example, they had intelligence that there's drugs in that car, or the person got a knife or weapon, or just committed an offence, okay, then they can stop that vehicle and search the driver or anyone in that vehicle for whatever the item is. Or if they stopped them under Section 163 of the Road Traffic Act, and they then smoked drugs, and maybe there was some like a scale or something in the car, they can then search
Yeah,
it.
that's evidence. So that's the
Yeah.
reasonable
Yeah.
grounds to
Yeah,
go on
exactly.
to it.
Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today and for giving us some clarity, answering our questions,
Insight.
and giving us insight and information as well. So, to find your information about Stop and Search, you can search on Google, as Montell said, search Stop and Search, Know Your Rights. And then you can also search on the Bedfordshire Police website as well. And then we do have a Stop and Search scrutiny panel as well. And they do speak about Go Wisely, which is the procedure followed by the police when they are stopping and searching. So thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We look forward to seeing you guys again soon.
Thank you.